My name is Szymon Bochniak. Welcome at Microsoft 365 at Work podcast. If you would like to become Microsoft 365 champion and you're looking for space with tips, knowledge, best practices and governance solutions, this audition is for you. This is episode 2, how Microsoft 365 updates are rollout. This episode is a result of many questions and discussions I have with my clients about why these updates are still not present in my tenant, when they will be present, and what have to be done on our side to get that new feature or functionality that is rolled out by Microsoft. This is quite challenging because Microsoft 365 roadmap is not extremely clear, especially from perspective of the timeline and when the feature will be present on your Microsoft 365 environment. But what I want to present you today, what are general rules about when the features will come up, what can you done to get the features earlier than normally, and moreover, what are possible options to manage new functionalities or updates that will be delivered directly to your Office 365 applications. It's very difficult to predict when exactly the new functionality will land on your Microsoft 365 tenant. Microsoft Roadmap navigates that kind of points on the quarter level, so you can expect that these updates will be present in one of 3 months or later. But again, what can you do to predict that better way? You can monitor the Microsoft 365 roadmap. In the episode notes, you will find the most valuable places when you can do that. And the second thing which I will focus today is how to set up the configuration of your tenant, maybe to get the updates earlier than you can expect. One more thing which you have to also take in the notice, there are 2 main streams how updates are provided for Microsoft 365 environment. One is directly for the Microsoft 365 apps, so formerly Office 365 Pro Plus subscription, so all updates for your client application hosted on your PC like Word, PowerPoint, Excel. And the second stream, which I will focus today, is how the updates are provided to your apps hosted on Office 365. Remember that you can subscribe to this podcast on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, or whenever you're listening right now. This topic become more and more important because today updates for Microsoft 365 are provided on the weekly basis. 2 years ago, I would say it was every quarter there were a package of new functionalities, changes that were provided to Microsoft 365 applications. Today it is much more agile way and much more rapid way of providing new functionalities to Office 365. And how updates are tested and rolled out to Microsoft 365 users across the globe. What you have to know that there are 4 rings when the updates are delivered, tested, and then roll out to the next level. The first ring is the feature team, so team that work on the new functionality, developed it, tested, and then push it to the next level, which is Office 365 team. The third ring is the Microsoft company itself, and then when the functionality is stable and ready to be rolled out to the global organizations, then it is rolled out to the Office 365 clients. On the 2 levels, first is target release Office 365 tenants, and then standard release Office 365 tenants. What is the most important element? Standard release is the basic default setup for all new Office 365 tenant, and this rollout is delayed about 3 months after the functionality is delivered, the target release ring. The main reason why companies decide to stay with standard release setup is they have no idea that it's delaying the new functionalities, or this approach should secure them from having the failed updates or failed rollouts of Microsoft 365 environment. Which is important here, most of rolled back functionalities or updates of new functionalities are done based on first 3 rings. In such approach, rollback feature never reach global users of Office 365. And I think this is quite fair assumption that corrupted features almost never reach target or standard release on Office 365. The second reason, which holds people with standard release setup, is assumption that they will use this 3 months time period to prepare some documentation, maybe some kind of trainings for the users about the new functionality. But realistically, how often do you preparing something like that? How big budget your company have to training and adoption materials to be prepared every time when new features will be landing on your Microsoft 365 platform? And to be fair, there is third scenario when you can choose the target release just for the nominated users, give them possibility to play with functionalities, to try them, and then after these 3 months, the feature will be rolled out to rest of the organizations. That kind of approach is something in the middle, so you're not blocking the new features for everyone, but still the group have to be quite big to benefit from it. You can find additional materials like links, notes, or articles in episode notes. You will also find their transcription and useful tools that will help you in your journey through Office 365 applications. By this episode, I want to encourage you to start a discussion in your company, how the updates are rolled out in your organization. Do you use target release? Maybe standard release is still your default setup on your Microsoft 365 tenant. And I fully understand that possible change to target release will require a lot of discussion on your side, but I believe that it's worth to make that discussions, fully understand the pros and cons on every scenario that will be set on your environment. And last time from my side, ask yourself, do really standard release setup save you from corrupted updates or give you time to prepare documentation for your users? If not, what is the really value to stay with it? Thank you for listening of this episode. You can always get back to it by visiting office365atwork.com/2. See you in next episode.